if I have that correct.
Yes, ma'am. So let's expand the scope even further. You've known Joe Biden, interacted with Joe Biden since on a semi-regular basis since 2009. Is it your testimony here today that Joe Biden's competency is the same from 2009 to today?
What I will say is, when I served with him in the 4 years of this administration, he was more than competent to do the job. This is someone who woke up every morning focused on the American people and delivering for the American people. And that's what I saw. I saw someone who cared and did that in a very focused way. And you know, that's why I was honored and privileged to have worked in this administration.
And I understand that you believe that he was competent the entirety of his term. I'm asking you, did you see a change in from 2009 to 2025 in Joe Biden's competency?
No, I did not. This is someone who, if you're in a room with him, when I was in a room with him during the administration, when I came in to talk to him about whatever issue that he wanted to know about, this is someone who had a conversation with me back and forth, who was very engaged, who was very aware of what was happening in the press, sometimes more aware than I was. And we would have that discussion. And that was my exchange. And that was what I experienced in the 4 years that I worked for this president.
Do you believe that Joe Biden became a less adept debater from the time that you began knowing him to 2025?
So I will just use his own words. He said himself he wasn't as good debater as he used to be, or he wasn't speaking as well as he used to. That's something that he said. He actually spoke to.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Yes, folks, I fully intend on beating this dead horse until there is absolutely nothing left. So let's follow the line of logic here. Okay, she says that, oh no, he hasn't lost any capabilities or competency, if you want to call it that, ever since 2009. She didn't notice any decline whatsoever, but then goes on to say, in his own words, he doesn't speak as well as he used to now. Once again, a normal person, somebody with a average IQ even, would hear that and think, well, I wonder why that is. Why does he not speak as well or as affluently as he used to? Maybe because he's getting older and getting more and more senile. Why do people start speaking not as well as they used to? Wonder why that is, but she never thought that. She never thought at all. Like, once again, folks, continuing where we picking up where we left off yesterday, we're going to continue this, and she just continues to double down on the nonsense. As a matter of fact, she goes deep into not really answering the questions at all and giving an answer. Well, this is what Joe Biden said. Well, this is what they said. Well, no, they don't care about what all these other people thought. None of that nonsense. We want to know what you think. What is your opinion on this matter? Oh, well, I don't speak for the American people. Yeah, but I'm sure you have an opinion as to what the American people are thinking, right? Like, I can make just a supposition on what the vast majority of Americans think, right? Like, you know, no open borders. The vast majority of Americans are like, no, we don't want open borders, right? The vast majority of Americans can look at Joe Biden and say, yeah, we don't want Joe Biden as president. That's why he dropped out of the race. He's pretty much forced to by other Democrats who actually saw the writing on the wall. Right? We've been seeing this coming. You could not hide it anymore. It was openly clear that Joe Biden was going dementiatic. I don't know if that's the correct term, but anyway, you guys smash that like button for me. Subscribe if you're new around here. Share this video anywhere and everywhere you can. Click the join button, sign up and become a member, especially if you want to stay up to date with news and politics and everything and every way you're being manipulated. Yeah, everything you're being manipulated. Yeah, I just said that. Oops. Let's get into it.
Did you ever have conversations with President Biden about why he wasn't as good of a speaker as he used to be?
I never had a direct conversation with the president about that.
Did you have a conversation with somebody else about that?
I never had a conversation with anybody about that.
You mentioned that you didn't recall, at least, noticing that Joe Biden had a stutter when you first met him. But did you notice it at some point during your time in the Biden administration?
I can't remember specific times, but obviously this is something that he was free-willing and talked about extensively, and I can't pinpoint a moment where I experienced that or could remember. But this is somebody who talked about it, connected with other folks who had stutters, and again, if you have a stutter, doesn't mean that you can't perform at a high level.
Certainly, and the reason I ask it all is simply because that the fact that he had a stutter was brought up as perhaps a reason for some of his lack of performance in the debate, for example, and other moments. Do you agree with that? Do you think that played a role?
Look, I can't hypothesize or opine what it's like to have a stutter, and what that's not something that I can speak to. I know what you're speaking of. What I know is that he had to work very hard to deal with his stutter, even today, from the time he was young, even today, something that he talked about extensively. Again, just because you have a stutter doesn't mean you can't operate at a high level and be very functioning, and that does not affect your competency.
Certainly, and I agree with you. I only mean that it seemed to be cited as proof that he was not in cognitive decline in any way, that any verbal stumble was simply the result of the stutter.
Again, what I can speak to is my observation, and this is somebody that was more than competent to do his job. I don't think a stutter, if he had it or not, if you have a stutter, doesn't mean that you can't perform at a high level. But my experience, my observation, again, and I said this at the podium, and I will continue to say it today in front of all of you, which is this is someone who was very active and engaging with me when I had conversations with him.
Do you think that you mentioned that the press was very concerned or brought up frequently President Biden's health or these related issues of his cognitive abilities or fitness to serve? Do you think the American people were also concerned about that?
I can't speak for the whole entire American people. It's not something I can speak to.
Did you ever have outreach from friends or people you knew that were concerned that President Biden was struggling with his health or cognitive abilities?
Not that I recall, not specific conversations.
Did you ever have a conversation with anyone in the White House?
In the White House?
Where you or they were concerned about President Biden's health or cognitive abilities?
I've never spoken to anybody in the White House about that.
To be clear, you've spoken to people in the White House about that regarding press inquiries, though.
Exactly, but the question was, right, if I heard the question, if people in the White House were concerned, like personally concerned. I did not talk to anybody about that in the White House, about personal concern.
Sure, and you would, I'm not a press person. I don't really know how your job works, but it's my understanding.
You should try it. It's fun.
That if you were receiving outreach from the press about the president's health or ability to serve, you would go to either the comms team, the press team.
So it's not necessarily that I would go. Everybody was watching the news just as I was, right? So people were aware with what was happening in the news. But as the press secretary, when I'm in these meetings, these check-in meetings, I would bring up, hey, this is what I'm going to get in the briefing room. This is, what the incoming that we're having that's coming in from the White House press corps.
Sure. And over the course of your 2 years as press secretary, it's your testimony here today that you never just asked somebody, whether it was one of the senior advisors or the vice president, hey, Steve Ricchetti, is the president okay?
I never had to ask that question because I saw the president on a daily basis, and I never ever thought if I never had that question. You know,
Right. But to be clear, you're not a doctor, correct?
I'm not a doctor, but you're also asking me to make a statement, right, about his health. So, I mean, it goes both ways here. I'm just telling you my observation, right? My observation was this was somebody who was competent. And these are conversations that I'm having, right? These are direct conversations that I'm having with the president of the United States, Joe Biden at the time. And it was always direct. It was always very alert. And, you know, it was a healthy back and forth. So because I had that daily access to him and talk to him, there would be no reason for me to go to a senior advisor to ask the question that you just asked me.
And just to be specific, after the 2024 debate, you never thought maybe I should actually ask a few other people if the president's doing okay.
He said he had a bad night. The president said he had a bad night.
And you never thought to ask why?
Again, this is somebody that I had regular engagement with, and I never had a concern about anything that dealt with if the president could do his job or not. I saw a president that was more than capable to do his job.
So I understand you had frequent interaction with President Biden, but for those in the White House that didn't, were you aware of any of them coming to you or to anyone else?
They did not come to me.
Are you aware of anybody raising concerns about President Biden's health with another senior advisor?
No, I was not.
So as far as you know, the White House, nobody in the White House had concerns about the president's ability to do his job.
I'm one person out of hundreds of people that work for the president of the United States. I could only speak for myself and my observation and my engagement with people. That's all that I'm speaking to today.
But you were the spokesperson for the White House, so I would think that you might have an ear for what people in the White House were doing or saying. And did nobody ever come to you with any concern and say, Ms. Jean-Pierre, is the president okay?
No one came to me and said those exact words. That's not a conversation that I had with anyone. What I can say is that my observation, again, I'm one person, and my job was to share information that in a transparent way that reporters and the American people needed to know. I did not have those very direct, you're talking about very direct conversations with people, and I didn't have them.
Do you think you shared information, that the White House shared information directly and clearly regarding the president's health or ability to do the job?
Yes.
Okay, folks, so I think I may have figured this thing out, right? Like, she keeps talking about, nobody ever questioned his competency whatsoever. I've never had any discussions like that with anybody, and we communicated very, very intently to the American people that, Joe Biden's fine, and he's dealing with a stutter, right? So I think I figured this out, folks. They knew he was going senile. Why question it? If your grandfather's been going senile for the past 5 years and he's really going downhill quickly, you don't go and have a conversation with somebody like, I'm not sure if grandpa is mentally competent. We don't have, because we can see with our eyes, folks, everybody saw this. It's just the fact that Democrats were denying it time and time and time and time again. They refused to admit that Joe Biden, he's not there anymore, right? They go back to 2009 specifically, and that's an interesting date, if you ask me, right? Because, that's when he became vice president or whatever, and started his whole vice presidential run, or you could say his run up to being the president in 2021, sorry. Okay, so I found that date fascinating. So I went to go and look around to see if I could find some speeches, and honestly, there's not a lot there that I could find. But I didn't get a one-for-one, folks. But what we're going to do is compare and contrast Joe Biden from 2007. Now, He's speaking at some community center to some senior citizens, right? And he's talking about, oh, what is this? The topic is fascinating, for one, coming from Joe Biden. It's very fascinating. But notice the stutter, if you will, or lack thereof. Check this out.
But I don't go for this idea of having the allowance of a significant increase, several 100,000 people a year, to take regular jobs, particularly in the construction industry. When you have another 300,000 people competing to hang drywall, figuratively speaking, or to carry bricks up a stairway up to the 15th story of a building, or to do a lot of other work in the construction area, guess what it allows the employer to do? Keep the wage lower. We have plenty of Americans that take those jobs. We don't have Americans who aren't willing to take those jobs. But the reason why the employers want this extra influx on a temporary basis, in my view, is it drives costs down. That's not fair to Americans. So you have to hold employers responsible in this measure here. Hold them responsible that they have to hire Americans first.
So if we would have gotten that Joe Biden in 2021, when he became president, right, he would have kept Donald Trump's border policies the same. He's talking about going after companies that are hiring criminal aliens, that you're going to undercut American citizens. They're going to go without jobs because this is jobs that American citizens can do. Like, are you effing kidding me? How did his position change that much in what, 13, 14 years? Like, that's a massive difference right there. Like, that's pretty much night and day. Now, let's compare a little bitty old Joe Biden from, I don't know, 2022, 2023. Check this out.
Anyway, and I don't want to, well, maybe choose my words. I was just thinking, anyway, but I just, look, I mean, Putin's kleptocracy, yeah. It was in January, after being elected. The late January, early February. He said, it's not, we lead, not just, well, I won't go into it. Here's what drives the driver in the states that are affected. Here's what you can do, the driver.
Yeah, so that's kind of flabbergasting. Yeah, that's not a stutter, by the way. And that's what they're doing here. They're lying, folks. They're trying to make everybody believe that, oh, that was a stutter. And he's been dealing with that his whole life. I mean, she even expounded upon again that he used to go to people and say, you know, so they could have discussions about their stutter. I mean, come on, people. Does that make any absolute sense at all? Like, it's making me lose my freaking mind. It seriously is. Like, I can't even speak right now because I'm so incensed by the lies coming from these people that even after everything is over with, they're refusing to admit the truth. They're refusing to admit that Joe Biden, you know, the lights were on, but nobody was home, essentially, that he wasn't in charge. Oh, AutoPen was running the freaking country. And that is why I love absolutely that Donald Trump changed out Joe Biden's portrait with a portrait of an AutoPen machine, for crying out loud. It's very, very fascinating. And these people are all scumbags. They're all swamp monsters. And every single one of these people need to be locked up in prison. But hang on just a second. Did they commit any crimes? That's the question that we must ask ourselves, folks, because, you know, you could say that perpetrating a fraud on this scale to the American people by lying to them, making everybody think that Joe Biden was just fine. Oh, wait, well, what you're seeing on the cameras, that's not really what Joe Biden is like behind the scenes. They kept saying, oh, he's a dynamo in the background. He's so focused. He's this, he's that. He's the most sharp, most intelligent. He's the best I've ever seen him.
Does the president have the stamina, physically and mentally, do you think, to continue on even after 2024?
Die! you're asking me this question. Oh my gosh, he's the president of the United States. You know, I can't even keep up with him.
The most difficult part about a meeting with President Biden is preparing for it, because he is sharp, intensely probing, and detail-oriented and focused.
I can testify because I've been working very closely with this president for the past 2 years. I've been knowing him for 30 years. And I'm telling you, this guy's tough. He's smart. He's on his game.
Joe Biden has vision. He has knowledge. He has a strategic thinker.
The president is focused. He's detail-oriented. He's always thinking about the big picture.
He is engaging. He is capable. He has an incredible record as president.
And I'm often with him on foreign trips. He's at the top of his game.
So he has a vision. He has knowledge. He has judgment. He has a strategic thinking.
I met with the president, I don't know, 5 or 6 weeks ago, and he seemed fine to me.
I have complete confidence in the president. I have watched him expertly guide meetings of staff and cabinet members. I could not have more confidence in the president.
I would just tell you that I meet frequently with the president, and every single time I meet with him, he is just fine.
That's what we got from his cabinet, for crying out loud, and it's utterly ridiculousness. Like, you're trying to make me believe that Mexico invaded America and won, and we are currently sitting in Mexico right now. That's what you're trying to make me believe. It's like, no, that's not really true. I think it goes the other way around with this. I think America invaded Mexico, and Texas is now part of the United States of America, and it's not part of Mexico as a matter of fact. But these people, they don't understand what facts are, I don't think. You know, she's doing a very good job at dodging these questions. I'm not going to lie about that. Like, this whole time I've been watching this thing, I've been kind of on the fence, trying to go either one way. Is she, like, really smart, doing a really good job at dodging questions, or is she really dumb and just getting lucky? You know what they say, folks. You know, you'd rather be lucky than good. And, hey, you know, it is what it is, and I don't know which one she actually is. If she's smart, or she's just getting lucky with these questions, and these people aren't pressing her nearly as much as they should be. But once again, folks, this whole deposition is like 3 hours long, and we're only like an hour and something into it. So we'll see what comes next. I'll see if I can find any more interesting clips, which I'm sure I will, because I've already found 3 10-minute segments just within the first hour, right? So I imagine the next 2 hours are going to hold something good, but you would think that at this point, we've already gone over pretty much everything of any substance. But there's 2 hours left. I really don't know if there's something else on this video. Like, I haven't scanned the whole thing yet, folks. Like, I'll watch a segment, and if it's good enough, I'll screen record that and use that for this evening. I'm pretty much not ahead of you guys on this. I haven't watched the whole thing yet. Like, I'm not going to sit there and watch this whole thing, to be honest with you. I mean, you know, unless it's going over it like this, then I'll watch the whole thing. But it's going to be like on a daily, I watch 10, 15, 20 minutes at a time. You know, if I don't find any good segments, I'll just keep going until I do, essentially. So I eventually will watch this thing. But, you know, enough of me expounding upon me watching a video. That's weird. While I'm recording a video, that's even more weird. Whoa, I didn't even think about that just now. Like, I'm breaking down and explaining how I'm going to watch a video whilst recording a video that I haven't uploaded yet that you are now watching. So you are watching me on a video talking about watching a video and recording a video all at the same time. Oh, yeah, folks, if you didn't realize it was 2025, then, yeah, where the hell have you been, by the way? Folks, the government shutdown is here, and it doesn't seem to be going anywhere, and I know that was a very hard segue, and I blame Democrats. Absolutely. Let me know who you guys blame for the damn government shutdown. You blame it on spineless Republicans, or do you blame it on the smarmy Democrats? Either one, doesn't matter. Let me know down in the comment section. But I think that's all I got, y'all. Y'all let me know what y'all think about all this seriously down in the comment section. Enough of my antics or whatever. But y'all let me know what y'all think. Y'all don't forget to smash that like button for me. Subscribe if you're new around here. Share this video anywhere and all over the place all at the same time if you could. And if you would, it'd be great. I'd be your bestie for Resty. I ain't gonna lie about that. If you guys would click that join button, sign up and become a member. It's the best way to help this channel expand and grow. And I got a mosquito biting me. Dadgummit. Stupid mosquitoes. I don't know how they get in here, but it is what it is, folks. But you guys remember that God has a plan for all of us, folks. Seriously. And you know, Jesus died on the cross for our sins so that we could have everlasting life in heaven with him. And that's something to be grateful for. Seriously, folks. And it's a good time to be alive, if you will. But you guys, y'all try to have a good day and stay legitical. Peace.